Good morning, campers. And no, that is not my gear. I don't know whose gear that is. There's a sleeping bag, a sleeping pad back there, a green thing right there. Then there's this bedroll here, sleeping bag here. And then there's parts of a tent right here. So, kind of weird. Comments in the guidebook talk about this leftover gear here that someone abandoned. It's been here all summer. So, I don't know. A ridge runner's going to have to haul that out of here. It's only 1.2 miles down to the NOC, the NOC. So they could take it down there, I suppose, and dispose of it or give it away or whatever. But today is a short day, 10.7 miles. That doesn't mean it's an easy day. I've got, right off the bat, I've got a long 1,500 foot elevation climb over about 3 miles. And then it levels off for a little bit, for maybe a mile. Then it's another short climb, another maybe 500 feet. So a total gain today of over 2,000 feet. After that second climb, it goes down, and then it goes up again, even higher. And then over 5,000 feet, I'll be above, a mile above sea level. And then it just kind of bounces around a little bit until I get to the shelter, 10.7 miles. So late start, I slept in, set my alarm for 6:30, then I laid there for about 15-20 minutes before I did anything. And then I did my stretches and got going. So it's 9:30 right now. 9:30. That's super late. That's 2 hours later than usual. But it's only 10.7 miles. So I'm going to, take my time, not kill myself. And I am going to, what else was I going to say? Well, I can't remember. It's supposed to be good weather. Looking forward to it. Pretty easy day, like I said. Short miles, but not easy miles. And 2 more nights in the woods, and then I'm at a hostel again, Wednesday night and Thursday night. So I'm going to get going here. I'm going to take off my puffy because it's too warm to hike in that. And I was here by myself. No one else was here. And there's a creek down there. You can see, right along there. Right there, one of my fingers. There's a creek down there. That's where I got my water. And yeah, it was good. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. I woke up in the night. I could hear a noise, and I took my earplug out, and it was barking. And I'm assuming it was coyotes. They're not far from here. They were 200 yards at the most. Row, row, row. Row, 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 row. They just barked for a good 10-15 minutes. Sounded dog-like, but I'm assuming it was a coyote. So anyway, I'm going to get going now. I'll check in later. Short day, probably not a lot to see. The woods have been pretty repetitive and monotonous, so that's why the videos the last few days have been kind of sketchy. There just hasn't been very much for me to film for you. So I'll do what I can, but it might be kind of a bland episode today. All right? Okay, I'm going to get going now. Hey, I wanted to show you a little trick while I was thinking of it. Taking down my tent. Let me show you. I got my tent collapsed here, but I was taking out the corner tent stakes, and my fingers are kind of cold, and it hurts to grab onto something really small, like this little tiny piece of cord. Put your finger in there and try to pull that out. It hurts. So the trick is, once you get one stake out, use that stake to get the other stakes out. You put the stake through the loop. I can grab it on either side. Pull that other stake out like that. Right? I didn't damage my finger. It's a great way to pull the stakes out. It doesn't hurt your fingers when they're cold or sore. So, a little tip from me to you. So there's the water source I just stopped at, because somehow, and I don't know how I did this, I missed the shelter. The shelter is 0.2 of a mile back. I somehow went past it. It's only 50 yards off the AT. Says there's a Blue Blaze side trail. I didn't see any sign for a shelter. I didn't see a Blue Blaze. I didn't see a trail. All of a sudden, I'm like, you know, I should be to the shelter just about now, and I saw a sign for water, and I thought, oh, this must be the water for the shelter, so the shelter's around here somewhere. Check the GPS. I'm 0.2 of a mile past it. I don't know how that happened. Either the sign is very inconspicuous, or it's poorly placed, or it's facing the wrong direction or something. But, or I was completely out of it. I don't know, but I was, you know, expecting. I knew I was getting close to the shelter, so I was kind of on the lookout for a sign. Missed it somehow. So anyway, I'm not going back. I'm not going back 0.2 and then come up again 0.2, because it's downhill back to the shelter. Then we'd be back uphill again. I've still got 5.6 miles to go to the shelter I'm staying at tonight, and there's a big climb. I got to do a climb here to the top of Wesser Bulb. That's 0.6. Then it's along down to Tellico Gap. Then I got to go all the way back up. I think it's called Rocky Bald. Ironically, none of the things called bald around here are actually balds. North Carolina apparently doesn't understand the definition of a bald, which is the top of a mountain with no trees on it. I keep coming to these so-called balds. I'm like, I'm surrounded by trees. Where's the bald? There's no bald. So I don't know what North Carolina's thinking there. But anyway, so that's it. I don't know. I'm mystified here. I'm going to take my break here and keep going. And hopefully I get to the shelter by 5, even with all these uphill pushes. So, weird. Okay, I just left Tellico Gap, where I took off my pant legs. As the sun's out, it's warm. It's not hot, but it's warm, especially when you're going uphill. So I had 3.6 miles to the shelter. The first half of that is all uphill, though. It's 1,300 foot elevation climb, quarter-mile elevation climb, and then it kind of does a little small roller coaster thing, and it goes up a little bit more and then down to the shelter. But that first initial climb up to Rocky Bald, that's 1.7 miles, so that's going to be slow going. I just came up maybe 2-3 of a mile. I had to stop, rest a little bit. So it's going to be tough. I'll get into camp between 4:30 and 5. It just depends on how steep this gets and then what the rest of the train is like. So we'll see. That's the Cold Spring shelter. I just got water in that white pipe right there. And sign says camping 1/10 of a mile back where I just came from. I passed the campsite. It looks like there used to be a trail up the hill, but looks like it's overgrown. They don't want you going up there anymore. So I'm going to go back the way I came. I hate doing that. It's only 1/10 of a mile. It's not steep or anything. And it looked like there's some good tent sites back there. So I'll just pitch there for the night. It's a very beautiful night. It's very calm. It's about 65 degrees. No wind. It's just coming up on 5 o'clock right now. I got 2 liters of water. Plenty to, I'll see this campsite down there. You know, they're kind of sloped. Plenty of water to cook, clean up, have something to drink in the morning. Then on the way out, because I'm coming back this way again, I'll get more water at the shelter there. And see, here's the camping, well, one of the camping signs. In just that amount of time. I'm talking about over here. But it's not real good. There's better camping up here on the right. So I'm going to go do that. And I'll go find a spot. And I'll show you my tent when I got it set up. So how cool is this? There's a little table up here. Up on this ridge. You can overlook the valley down there. That's where the sun will come up over there somewhere. And there's a couple of tent spots. There's one right here. And there's one over here. So I'll have to decide which one I want. But it's nice. It's off the trail a little bit, and it's about 150 yards or so up from the shelter, which always makes me a little leery camping so far from the shelter. But I got a little spot to eat at and put my stuff on, so that's real nice. So I'm gonna pick a spot and pitch my tent. But I'm pretty happy being up here.